Northwestern and Evanston communities gather to remember victims of the recent Pittsburgh shooting.
2 freshmen honor a Northwestern staff member in a hip way.
And famed author Margaret Atwood presents a keynote on campus. I'm outside Pickstager Auditorium with more.
We'll have those stories and more coming up on the Northwestern News Report.
It's your news right now. Members of Northwestern Hillel led a group prayer last night to honor the victims of last week's attack in Pittsburgh. Hundreds of students gathered at the Rock to join in the memorial. Good evening, I'm Esther Wells.
And I'm Sian Shin. Thanks for joining us.
A gunman opened fire at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh Saturday. The shooting is considered the deadliest anti-Semitic attack in U.S. history, leaving 11 people dead and 6 injured. The youngest victim was 54 and the oldest was 97. The victims were long-standing members of the community, including Sylvan and Bernice Simon, who exchanged their wedding vows in Tree of Life 62 years ago. Federal prosecutors are seeking approval to pursue the death penalty against the shooter.
Cecil Rosenthal, 59 years old, of Squirrel Hill.
More than 300 members of Northwestern and Evanston gathered at the Rock last night to offer their own support for the Pittsburgh community. Northwestern Hillel organized the candlelight vigil to commemorate the loss. Leaders from Northwestern Hillel passed out candles and led group prayers. Organizers also invited speakers from various religious groups on campus, including the Associate Chaplain and Director of Interfaith Engagement, Tahara Ahmed, and the student leader of Christian community on campus. Together, the participants sang, prayed, and shared their desire to build a safer community for all. We have Executive Director of Northwestern Hillel, Michael Simon, here tonight. Thank you for joining us, Michael.
Thank you.
So how do you feel about last night's vigil?
I think, first of all, I'm very proud of both our Hillel community and the broader Northwestern community for coming together in this really terrible moment. You mentioned 300. There are estimates that say it was as many as 600 or 700 people that were out there, and we put the vigil together, in less than a day because we really wanted an opportunity for the community to have a place to come together and express their feelings of concern, sadness, mourning for what had happened in Pittsburgh, and a place for people to be together and have an opportunity to show solidarity in the face of something so hateful.
And why do you think that we have seen an increase in anti-Semitic attacks in the past few years?
Wow. You want a short? It could be, that could be sort of a symposium, and I'm not sure I'm the exact right expert to say. I think that it's not just about anti-Semitism. Certainly the Jewish community here on campus and communities around the country and around the world have been fearful of a rise in rhetoric, and even now, as we've seen horrifically, a rise in action against the Jewish community. But to me, it's a part of a wave of rhetoric that is hateful, that is about putting the other as something to be feared and something to be made into really the different, even enemy. And when that rhetoric is taken by people who feel that they need to act upon it, it can have terrible consequences. But I don't think for us, right now, the Jewish community is in deep and really hard pain over what happened in Pittsburgh. But we know that we're not the only ones. And unfortunately, we've seen just in our country other places of prayer, other faith groups that have been targeted, Charleston, Church in Texas. And we know that we're not the only ones who have had this experience. We're just the latest ones. The other thing I'll mention is that for the Jewish community, not only does it have us feel, oh, we are being targeted like other communities that have been targeted for these kind of hateful acts, but also it resonates with a deep history of anti-Semitism, Jewish communities being targeted for violent acts, and that is particularly scary for us.
And how do you feel about how the Trump administration is responding to the attack?
Well, I think it's complicated because in various ways there have been the perfectly appropriate responses. I know, and I followed it closely, but also I'm following, first and foremost what's happening here on our campus and how students are reacting and trying to take care of one another, and also thinking about the community in Squirrel Hill, where I know people who live there. But I am, like many, following what's happening from the administration. I think that the Justice Department taking a very aggressive move to condemn what happened and to really try to take the full effect of the law against this horrible perpetrator, alleged perpetrator, that is a great sign. I think that some of the messages coming out of President Trump were appropriate, and I think there's also rhetoric from both President Trump and others that is not particularly helpful because it contributes to an environment where people are being made into the other. There is sort of an environment of divisiveness, and it feels at this point that we need to have a consistent message of unity and a consistent message that everyone in our community is welcome. I'll just add one other piece, which is in the Jewish tradition, taking care of the stranger, knowing that we were ourselves, according to our tradition, strangers in Egypt thousands of years ago. We know that the least among our community must be considered, and so when any community is othered, it is a big concern to us. And so the messages need to be consistent from the very top to the very grassroots, and otherwise we're just contributing to an atmosphere of divisiveness, which we are struggling against.
And what can people who may not necessarily identify as Jewish do in response to this attack?
Well, as I said, I think first it starts with each of us. I mean, literally with each of us, to look at how are we thinking of and treating others, and trying to contribute to an environment in our own families and our own communities here at the Northwestern community, one that is learning from and accepting of difference. In terms of the immediate follow-up to this, the two immediate places to direct, I would say, contributions of concern would be the synagogue itself, Tree of Life Synagogue in Squirrel Hill, Pittsburgh, and HIAS, which is an organization which you're probably aware the alleged perpetrator called out and was anti-HIAS. HIAS is an immigrant society that historically supported Jewish immigrants, but in recent years has been really focusing on immigrants of all backgrounds who need support as they are trying to immigrate, or refugees trying to come to the country. So supporting HIAS is a way. And I would say to really think about this in terms of, if I'm from whatever other community, how might my community feel if we were targeted? And I know for the Jewish community, this is a horrific experience and something we never want ourselves to experience, and we don't want other communities to experience. So I think we want other communities to stand up for us, and we as a Jewish community need to be ready at all times to stand up for other communities that might be in pain or might be targeted.
All right, Michael, thank you again for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale has made headlines in the past few years. From the television show's 11 Emmy Awards to women dressed as handmaids in protests outside of the Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh's hearings. The 1985 book centers around a dystopian society where women are the property of the state. The novel is also Northwestern's one book this school year. Today, famed author Margaret Atwood made an on-campus appearance. NNN's Joey Safchik is live from Pick-Stager Auditorium.
Thanks, Yan. Actually, one book student fellow Meredith Baloney told me that a major concern when choosing this novel was that Margaret Atwood would not be available to present a keynote, which is a critical component to the one book experience. But luckily for Northwestern students, Atwood was able to find time in her schedule for not one, but two Northwestern presentations. Earlier today, she was on the Chicago campus, and she just finished her discussion here on the Evanston campus, both to sold-out houses. One Book, One Northwestern is a campus-wide reading program sponsored by the Office of the President. The goal is to inspire a conversation over pertinent themes. Although Atwood penned her novel over 30 years ago, it seems particularly relevant today in the midst of the Me Too movement. Atwood discussed the story's proximity to the world today, in pop culture and in politics, along with its historical inspirations. And outside of Pick-Stager, protesters dressed as handmaids handed out pamphlets for refusefascism.org. They spoke to attendees about reproductive rights and women and LGBTQ equality. While the novel seemed applicable when it was chosen last year, One Book faculty chair and English professor Helen Thompson, who led the discussion with Atwood, says they could not have predicted how appropriate the choice would be on a college campus this fall.
I mean, it's sort of overwhelmingly appropriate, more appropriate than anyone really could have anticipated. It's really exciting to see that so many people feel like this text has a kind of bigger life in our political life and in our culture right now, and that it's worth engaging it.
Handmaid's Tale is the first piece of fiction selected for One Book in over a decade. Thompson says student and faculty enthusiasm for the novel was apparent in the annual essay contest, which received 60 entries, twice as many as last year. In an exclusive off-camera interview with Northwestern News Network, Atwood said that she is speaking on our campus because the students here today are, quote, the grown-ups of tomorrow. She also encouraged people, young and old, to try to recognize when they are being lied to and to get out and vote. When asked if there would be a sequel to Handmaid's Tale, Atwood said that November 29th would be, quote, a big day. From Pixtager, Joey Safchik, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Joey. The author keynote is one of dozens of on-campus experiences that relate The Handmaid's Tale to our world, from discussions to exhibits and interactive experiences.
After the break, we'll tell you which Northwestern staff member was honored with a hit hip-hop track.
We might have had some 60-degree weather today, but we have a return to chilly temperatures and falling leaves ahead of us. I'm Gabrielle Cater, and next up is our 5-day weather forecast.
At Northwestern, we're Wildcats in every way.
Northwestern break right through that. With our colors flying, we will cheer you all to go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, spread for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
At Northwestern University, we are pioneering innovation and achieving excellence across every imaginable discipline. At Northwestern University, the possibilities are endless.
Good evening and welcome to your 5-day weather forecast. We had a surprisingly warm day today with a high of 62. Wednesday will be the second warmest day of the week, but we still might need to bundle up a little bit for trick-or-treating. It will be partly cloudy with a high of 57 and a low of 46. The skies will be more cloudy as Thursday rolls in. We will have a high of 52 and a low of 41. Expect clouds and dropping temperatures on Friday. Be ready for your winter coats for a high of 58 and a near freezing low of 35. We will have a short break from the clouds going into this weekend. Here comes the sun on Saturday with a jump back into the 50s. It will be mostly sunny with a high of 51 and a low of 44. And finally, have your umbrellas ready Sunday morning for the AM showers. We will have a high of 55 and a low of 44 with 73% humidity. I'm Gabrielle Cater with your 5-day weather forecast. Back to you.
As freshmen made the transition to Northwestern this fall, many were eager to finally meet Associate Director of New Student and Family Programs, Josh McKenzie, who had been emailing them since they committed to Northwestern. NNN's Evan Robinson Johnson sat down with the two Northwestern freshmen to learn more about what inspired them to create their debut hip-hop track titled Josh McKenzie.
And he was like, yeah, we're gonna make a song about Josh McKenzie. And I was like, all right.
Over the summer, members of the class of 2022 made Facebook posts and memes to celebrate Associate Director of New Student and Family Programs, Josh McKenzie. When they arrived on campus, McKenzie led new students through a Wildcat welcome as he usually does. But this year, students honored McKenzie in a new way. Two freshmen, Taj Smith and AJ Denhoff, composed an entire rap song to honor the Northwestern icon.
He was like, yeah, you want to make a song, basically? Because I've been having this idea like all day.
I had this melody stuck in my head, man.
Yeah.
I was trying to hold the suspense as long as I could.
So yeah, we just went over to his room, and he was like, yeah, we're going to make a song about Josh McKenzie. And I was like, all right.
Josh McKenzie, feel like Josh McKenzie.
Since its release on Smith's SoundCloud in September, the song has been played over 1,700 times. With lines such as, I was a bit out of touch with the details, but then I checked up on my email. The song describes the key role McKenzie plays in helping freshmen adjust to life at Northwestern.
At first, I guess I thought that people would listen to it, and I thought that my friends would listen to it and show their friends, and I was like, that'll be funny. But I think everybody in the freshman class, plus or minus a few, has heard it.
Since their debut single, the pair have become close friends and say they're currently working on new tracks. Evan Robinson Johnson, Northwestern News Network.
The pair's music can be found on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/AJ
We wanted to know about some other campus icons. Here's NNN's Joan Guak with Rock Talk.
Hi, my name is Joan Guak, and this is this week's Rock Talk. Today we're here to answer the question, who is your inspiration or icon at Northwestern?
Rock Talk.
Who is your inspiration or icon at Northwestern?
At Northwestern, the Wildcat, or whoever's in the Wildcat mascot.
I would say Professor Morrison. He's the Russian lit professor.
Cool.
But I would pick, I think, George Wells, who's a professor that I had, and he is in one of my first major-related classes, and he really helped me stick with what I'm studying now.
So I'm a part of new student and family programs, and there's one of our professional staff. Her name is Myra, and she does a lot of work for Northwestern, and it's sort of a thankless job, and she's wonderful and has taught me a lot about myself and what it means to be a Wildcat.
Oh, my PA, Aaron Clays. Yeah, so far.
One of my friends, I'm not going to name them, but they have the most perfect life, work, fun balance. And so I really aspire to be like that person.
At Northwestern, then it's my friend who's a varsity soccer player, Jake Robert. He's super passionate about what he does, but he likes to have a lot of fun too. And plus, he's an athlete.
Josh McKenzie.
Good answer.
If you have an idea for a future Rock Talk topic, tweet at us at NNN_news.
Donuts and running usually aren't a good mix, but after the break, we'll tell you about this triathlon club's new version of a sugar rush.
We're also going to take a look at the spending that comes with Halloween on this week's spooky edition of Money Minute.
At Northwestern, we're Wildcats in every way.
Northwestern break right through that. With our colors flying, we will cheer you all to go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, spread for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
At Northwestern University, we are pioneering innovation and achieving excellence across every imaginable discipline. At Northwestern University, the possibilities are endless.
744 donuts and a 3-mile run aren't two things that usually go together, unless it's the morning of the Northwestern Triathlon Club's annual Krispy Kreme 5K run and fundraiser. NNN's Wyatt Grantham Phillips tried her best to keep up.
Runners of all ages gathered on Northwestern's Lakeville Sunday to do two things, run and eat. or more specifically, run while eating.
Seems like a fun idea. Krispy Kremes and running don't really go together, but it seems like an interesting idea.
In this race, the more you eat, the less you run. At stations throughout the 3-mile course, runners can choose to stop and scarf down a Krispy Kreme donut in order to receive a shortcut and potential edge on their competitors. The Northwestern Triathlon Club hosts the unique 5K as a fundraiser for the organization. Johnson says the event debuted on campus 6 or 7 years ago.
We hope that everybody just has a really fun time here today. We always host our race on family weekend, so a lot of people bring out friends, family members, and just get out here and run and have a good time. So that's really what we're after, and of course we value and appreciate the sport for Northwestern Triathlon.
If you wonder whether or not you're the only one who would be nervous about eating fried sweet treats while going for your morning run, think again.
I heard about this race just looking up randomly on the NU North Center website, and it happened to fall on my birthday, so excited, nervous. I'm not a runner, so
I'm hoping to survive. That's what I'm hoping to do. Just make it to the end, and yeah, maybe have a few good donuts.
Still, fears didn't stop those looking for a fun time.
I like the fact that you can run and eat donuts, you know. I'm not the fastest guy, but I can eat a lot of donuts and I run okay. You know? It's definitely a fun race and it's good for all levels. You don't have to be an expert runner by any means to do this. If you want to just walk and eat donuts, it's fun too.
120 registered runners and 62 dozen donuts later, the event gives participants a memorable version of Sunday brunch. Wyatt Grantham Phillips, Northwestern News Network.
If you woke up too late to make this year's race, do not fear. You can still learn more about the results and the NU Triathlon Club at www.northwesterntriathlon.com.
Halloween is upon us, and you may be frightened by how much money is spent on the fall holiday. So let's take a look at this witch's brew of retail finances. According to the National Retail Federation, about 175 million Americans are expected to be bewitched out of over $9 billion. That's just under last year's record of $9.1 billion. This means each person will spend a ghastly average of $86.79. So what will that money be spent on? 95% of celebrants will spend this money on candy, while 74% will purchase decorations, 68% will buy costumes, and 35% will buy greeting cards. And we all love pets. Those pets have become more popular, with almost 20% planning to buy one. And the most popular costume, most pet owners will dress their dogs up as pumpkins. For pets, they account for 11.2%. The top adult costume is a witch at 11% of all costumes, while princess costumes top the list of children's costumes at 7.6%. So, if you are part of the nearly 70% of people planning to celebrate this year, I hope you have a hauntingly fun Halloween. For Money Minute, I'm Liam Lecca.
After the break, Evanston children celebrate Halloween early with 2 special events.
At Northwestern, we're wildcats in every way.
Northwestern break right through that. With our colors flying, we will cheer you all to go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, spread for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
At Northwestern University, we are pioneering innovation and achieving excellence across every imaginable discipline. At Northwestern University, the possibilities are endless.
Children at Evanston had a chance for a warm-up round of trick-or-treat as the city of Evanston also decided to throw its own downtown celebration. I went to go check out the tricks and the treats that Evanston had to offer. Evanston families made their way downtown Saturday for the second annual Halloween trick-or-treat stroll. Many businesses opened up their doors to give candy to kids. Some places even organized games and fun activities, like spin the wheel.
There we go.
They also offered parents a special treat of store discounts. Jeremy Round bought the art studio and play space Gather earlier this year. He says this Halloween event has been a great way to build new customer relationships.
It's been crazy and amazing so far. We've met a lot of new people today. Probably weren't really geared for how many people were coming. We had no idea it was going to be so intense.
Many parents took the day off from work to celebrate Halloween with their kids.
For us, it's just a time to have fun and, get more candy than we ought to. And it's always fun to think about what we want to be to dress up.
And this year, the Fishbach family decided on matching costumes.
So me and my brother really like Star Wars, so we're Star Wars characters for Halloween.
To wrap up the day, downtown Evanston organized a Halloween party at the Holiday Inn. Attendees could eat cotton candy and make spooky decorations at the arts and crafts stations. Round has both a business and a family in Evanston. He says he appreciates how this community is so welcoming.
It's a special place where people really are neighborly and want to get to know each other. And we met a lot of people today that don't live in Evanston but still kind of feel like the extended Evanston family. And it's just great to be in this place that wants to come together and do fun things together.
In this way, Evanston really put the we in Halloween. Sian Shin, Northwestern News Report.
Coming up, we'll learn more about the Northwestern alum performing in the national tour of Hello Dolly.
At Northwestern, we're Wildcats in every way.
Go Northwestern, break right through that. With our colors flying, we will cheer you all the go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
At Northwestern University, we are pioneering innovation and achieving excellence across every imaginable discipline. At Northwestern University, the possibilities are endless.
Hello Dolly, the 1964 musical, says hello to Chicago this month. The nationwide tour of the musical has started performances at the Oriental Theater, and the cast features a Northwestern alum. Beth Kirkpatrick plays Mrs. Rose and is part of the ensemble of the show. She also serves as an understudy for the title character. Hello Dolly tells the story of Dolly Levi as she plays matchmaker for her friends and family, though truly hoping to find love for herself. Kirkpatrick graduated from Northwestern in 2003, where she studied voice and musical theater. Since graduation, Kirkpatrick has appeared in a variety of touring companies and regional productions. She also performed in the Broadway revival of Les Miserables in 2014. Kirkpatrick says it is so exciting to return to Chicago to perform in this classic musical.
So I'm super busy in the ensemble. I do the opening number, Sunday close. I run off after I'm Mrs. Rose and come back as an opera diva marching in the parade. So it's nice and busy, but just such a beautiful show to be a part of. Northwestern does such an incredible job with their actors, their singers, their music theater minor majors, with teaching people the craft. And Northwestern was so great about being like, you know what? Let's just make you be the best you can be. And that is right on trend with where theater is nowadays.
Hello Dolly will perform at the Oriental Theater through November 17th. And this won't be the last you hear of the musical this year. Hello Dolly was also chosen as this year's Dolphin Show. The student-run production will open in Conn Auditorium in January. Well, that's all the time we have for tonight. Make sure to join us at 7 p.m. next week for our special coverage of the midterm elections. For all of us here at NNN, I'm Sian Shin.
And I'm Esther Wells. Thank you for joining us.